Hey guys, so I wasn't going to preview another version of Linux Mint until quite some time, but you guys specifically demanded that I had a run through on the KDE release of Linux Mint 17. So here we go. Here I've got up the old press release, and says some important stuff in the notes. This is the 32-bit that I'm running, but as far as I'm aware, it's the 64-bit is exactly the same. System requirements, 2 gig of RAM. So the requirements do seem to go up over time. If 2 gigs requirement, that's actually quite high for a Linux distribution. Haven't seen one that high for quite some time. But then again, it might not, it might just be because I haven't really been checking because my computer's quite fast. Anyway. The press release is all pretty standard stuff. We can get straight onto the distribution, so I'll just bring it up here. And I've booted directly into the 32-bit ISO. So you can start in compatibility mode, do the integrity check, boot from the local device, memory test, yada yada, all the same stuff that you get with all the other Linux Mint distributions. But let's crack on and start with the live CD. So again, you've always got to hand it to distributions that send out that put you through the live CD experience first before even asking to install, because it's a really good way to make sure that the Linux distribution is compatible with your hardware. And I've got to say now, in the past couple of years or so, I don't even think I've actually found a computer that's not capable of running a Linux distribution right out of the box. Some of you guys have mentioned down in the comment section below of various cases where that's happened, but I gotta say, out of the half dozen so installs I've done over the past couple of years on half dozen or so various different machines, I don't think I've ever come up with a problem, or at least not a problem that's not easily Googleable and fixable. Okay, so standard KDE stuff. Now, I don't know how many of you guys will know this, but the very first version of Linux Mint actually shipped with KDE as the default environment. They were looking for something user-friendly, straightforward, but also something conservative, reserved, and a little bit more traditional. And KDE at the time fitted that profile. And then I think it was version 2.0 where they actually decided that GNOME was the direction they wanted to go into. Because there are a lot of Linux people that are very familiar with GNOME as well that might feel a little bit like a fish out of water with KDE. Now, KDE, I've always known KDE for it to have very nice out-of-the-box aesthetics. By the way, that flickering into the black you saw just a while ago, that's part of me running it on a virtual machine as I'm doing it now, not part of the distribution itself. Okay, so as you can see, automatically connected to the network, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Now, I remember the KDE version of Mint actually came with a panel menu. This was when it was shipped with KDE 3. Now that KDE 4 is well established as a distribution, that came with a panel as default. This is the panel. So there used to be like a Mint panel. There used to be a Mint menu that actually looked quite a lot like this, that was shipped with earlier versions of Mint. But now, what it looks like to me is that Mint with KDE is a lot less modified than it used to be. There's a lot less out-of-the-box changing around. I don't know whether or not that's just a change in where the developers are placed, whether or not it's that KDE as a desktop environment is more in line with what Linux Mint is as a philosophy anyway, so they have to change it less, and I certainly think that's part of it, because the traditional KDE, the regular old KDE 4 desktop layout is very similar to the KDE Linux Mint 1.0 layout. So there's that. So it comes with all the same old KDE stuff, all the same out-of-the-box Linux Mint stuff as well. What's in the old multimedia? VLC Media Player comes out of the box. Again, that's a very popular media player, and if I'm not mistaken, does use the Qt libraries as of a couple of years ago. And it comes with the, the bundled KDE applications, which I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more Qt-based applications in GNOME distributions, actually, because KDE and the Qt libraries are becoming a lot more modular. They're becoming designed so that you can deploy them into a lot more unusual circumstances and distributions, and so that you can have very lightweight Qt-based distributions because you don't need this web of libraries that you might needed to have once upon a time. You can actually pick out parts of libraries that work independently, or at least that's how I've understood it. So what are the setting office utils that come with it? Yeah, so it comes with the LibreOffice. It comes with Kmail, which is interesting and in and of itself. Kmail, I got to admit, I was expecting Thunderbird there. What browser does it come with? It comes with Firefox. That's pretty standard. Does it come... No, it doesn't come with Conqueror. Just the Firefox. Okay, yeah, I got to admit, and KTorrent. So it comes with a combination of some well-knowns like the Office package, but it also comes with a lot of KDE specifics as well. Kind of like a bit of both thrown in there, kind of a halfway point. Because I know some KDE-based distributions, they just go either all out for the KDE environment with all the KDE apps that go along with it, or they just throw out the KDE apps and they bring in your Firefoxes, your LibreOffice, your GIMPs, your Scribus and Kdenlive, although the last two there actually are based on Qt libraries natively as well. And I'm actually saying that, and I'm possibly a little half expecting maybe to see Kdenlive in there. It's not in there, is it? It's not under the old multimedia section. Just because KDE or Kdenlive, the video editor that's based on the Qt libraries, which is very, very good, if not just a little bit too buggy for me to be completely satisfied with. Yeah, kind of semi-expected that to be in the release because it fits in nicely with the Qt environment. And video editing is something that more and more people are doing. I don't know. Actually, let me know in the comment section below. Would you be interested in seeing Kdenlive being bundled with KDE focused distributions? I personally would, but then again, look at me, I'm on friggin' YouTube, aren't I? Okay, so we're all connected on the internet, all good and ready to go. It isn't asking me to mess around with codecs or download up. So this is a different install. Obviously, it's a different installer. No, I wasn't expecting that actually. I was expecting a pretty much a carbon copy installation process. Yeah. Oh, it's picked up United Kingdom right off the bat actually. I'll give it kudos for that one. Did I even select anything that indicated I was from the United Kingdom? I don't know. Was that an auto detect? If that is, that's very clever. It picked me up in London. So, yeah, and that's basically, for those of you who aren't from the UK, this is a layout of a UK-based keyboard. Note the double quotation marks there above the Shift 2 and the @ sign being right down there. I know that on Macs and on US keyboards, those two buttons are actually they switch places. Other than that, like that's the thing. Like a lot of people in the UK fail to calibrate the keyboard to the UK specific because US keyboards are different, and then a lot of people get really flustered when they go to press Shift and 2 to get the double quotation marks because that's what it looks like on the physical keyboard, but because the keyboard's set to the US keyboard, that it actually comes up with the @ sign. Oh my lord, that blows a lot of people's minds more than it really should do. They go, ah, I pressed the button. True story. Okay, anyway, so yeah, this is a different installer, but I'm gliding through it. I'm not even thinking twice about any of these things. My name, username, sure. Password, yeah, sure. Login automatically. And you can carry on. By the way, guys, just for those of you that are interested, although I'm probably sure each and every one of you have your own opinion on this one, when I do login automatically, that just makes the virtual machine demonstration process a little easier for me. I don't personally recommend, not having a login for your desktop PC. Even by and large, these logins aren't the most difficult in the world to crack. It does stop. I don't know. It's just like an added layer of protection that really isn't that much of a hassle if you think about it. Really, I know a lot of people that are really adamant about keeping passwords on and screen locking after 1 minute of inactivity and stuff like that, but I don't know. I mean, I take it seriously, but I certainly don't take it seriously as some of the people I know who work in digital security for a living. Those guys are paranoid. Can we click next? Is there more that we can do here? So yeah, but like I say as well, in the usual caveat to these things is that sometimes these are both faster and slower distributions when I'm demonstrating them to you than when I'm perhaps installing via a CD, and that's because it gets faster disk access because it's accessing a CD directly from the hard disk, but it's also a bit slower because it's running inside a virtual machine, so it's not using all of my system resources. So this is running like on 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigs hard disk space and 3 gig processor or something along those lines, 1 core. Okay, so we are going to boot in our freshly installed Linux Mint 17 KDE installation, and I've got to say, through the install process and the live CD, this is once again a pretty unremarkable Linux Mint distribution, but in these cases that's only to its credit. An operating system isn't meant to take center stage. It's very much meant to be the stage itself in which the spectacles sit and reside on top of. And yeah, like with Linux Mint, you know what you're getting. You're getting a straightforward, works out of the box kind of operating system that's really designed around common usability, and this is no exception. If you want a KDE flavor of, quite frankly, one of the best Linux distributions out there, this is exactly what you'll get. It comes with a very vanilla installation of KDE from what I have seen, but just with the Linux Mint tools on top. So you've got everything here as well. And it comes with working Flash and all this kind of stuff straight out of the box, and some pretty great community support as well. So like I say, just about what I said about any other Linux Mint distribution recently applies here, just with KDE instead of whatever desktop environment I'm currently talking about at the time. Yeah, Linux Mint is a pretty conservative and reserved and altogether distribution. Like, it knows what it's doing with itself. It's it's pretty well organized, and out of that does come stability, user friendliness, and a distribution that works well out of the box. Something that you could perhaps introduce other people to Linux through this distribution, and they probably wouldn't have too much in the way of problems. And if Linux is going to make it into the desktop market, which I do believe it will do, I think Windows is really just straining itself at this point now, and I think it's reached its apex, if not surpassed it, and people are going to need to jump ship somewhere. And I think Ubuntu is just a little bit too on the edge. It's a little bit unreliable. It's not as stable as Linux Mint. Linux Mint take a few extra precautions that Ubuntu doesn't, and I think Linux Mint, it's a little more humble. It's a little more, it knows what it is, and it knows what it's supposed to be, and it knows that an operating system isn't supposed to take center stage, but supposed to be a reliable foundation for software that runs on top of it. And because it knows that, and because it treats that particular duty with a great deal of respect and reverence, you get a top quality distribution out of it. So that's about it from me today. Thank you very, very, very much for watching. And as usual, if you would like me to include any other distribution in a future run through, then feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. But also, when I do these run throughs, is there any particular aspect of a distribution you would like me to actually take a look at? I have developed now a reasonably straightforward and regular process in reviewing distributions, but is there anything else you would like to see included in this? Now, I usually just run through the live CD, bundled applications, the install process, the philosophy. I'll probably run through the press release as well. But if there is anything else you'd like me to check out in sort of like as a regular segment to all of these walkthroughs, then again, please let me know that down in the comments section below. I'm always interested in how I can make these videos a little bit better for you guys. So that's about it from me today. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I've been Chris Ware, and you've been awesome. Take care now.